All right, so get this. We're diving deep into the future of farming.
The future of farming?
In India.
Wow.
Yeah, and we're talking about like a full-on tech revolution happening right now with this thing called precision agriculture.
Okay.
So imagine like farmers getting real-time intel on exactly what their crops need.
Oh,
No more of that like guesswork.
Right.
Like we're talking data-driven decisions about everything,
Right.
from watering to like when to harvest.
Wow, that's incredible. It's like taking, that ancient farming knowledge tested over generations
Yeah.
and like giving it a turbocharged tech upgrade.
Right.
And, it's not just about, India becoming like this agricultural powerhouse, but it's about doing it sustainably, which is like so important with all the challenges that, they're facing.
Okay, so paint the picture for us.
Yeah.
What does this like high-tech farm actually look like? Are we talking robots planting seeds?
Not robots exactly, but
Okay.
pretty close, Think about like drones scanning the fields from the air, like sensors like nestled right down in the soil.
Oh, wow.
Even satellites beaming down data.
Yeah.
It's all about gathering information on everything.
Yeah.
I mean, literally everything. How healthy the soil is, how the crops are doing, what the weather's up to. It's like giving each plant its own,
Yeah.
personal checkup 24/7.
That's way more sophisticated than I was picturing.
Yeah.
So it's like having Google Maps, but for your farm.
Exactly. Yeah.
But instead of traffic updates, you're getting crop health alerts.
Precisely.
Okay, but how does all this data actually help the farmers?
Right.
It's not like the plants are sending them a text message like, hey, I need some water.
Well, that's where the smart agriculture comes in. So all this data, right, it's not just numbers on a screen. It gets fed into these AI and machine learning systems.
Okay.
And they act like super-powered translators. They take all that raw data, like the soil moisture levels, maybe the first sign of disease on a leaf, and they tell the farmer, hey, this is exactly when you need to irrigate this section, or you should add a touch more fertilizer over there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So it's like having a personal crop advisor on call 24/7.
Yeah.
That's wild. But our deep dive mentioned this is about more than just like,
Oh, yeah.
boosting harvests, right?
Yeah.
What's the bigger impact here for India specifically?
So think about this.
Okay.
Water,
Okay.
huge scarcity issues, right?
Right.
Precision irrigation,
Yeah.
total game changer.
Okay.
Instead of just like, watering the entire field,
Right.
or sensors tell you, hey, just water right over here, this much,
Got it.
doing more with less, crucial in a place like India with, a growing population.
That makes a ton of sense.
Yeah.
Less waste.
Yeah.
Bigger harvest.
That's
That's a
right.
win-win.
Exactly.
What about the environmental impact of all this?
Yeah.
Because we hear so much about like fertilizer runoff and all that.
Right. And that's another area where precision agriculture it's really promising.
Okay.
So by using data to pinpoint exactly how much fertilizer you need,
Yeah.
you can really cut back on that overuse.
Mm-hmm.
And less fertilizer means less runoff
Right.
into rivers, groundwater, which
Yeah.
is a win-win for the environment, public health, all of that.
Okay. So we're talking good for the planet,
Yeah,
good for people.
absolutely.
But what about the farmers themselves?
Yeah, good question.
Especially those like smaller farms.
Right.
Can they actually afford to implement all this high-tech gear? So we're picturing like
Yeah.
drones, AI,
room.
the whole like,
It's like sci-fi farming, right?
it really is. But we're talking about,
Yeah.
farmers who have been like
Right.
working the land
Yeah.
for generations off.
Generations, exactly.
Like that's a huge leap to go from like traditional methods to
Right.
basically like managing a digital farm.
Right. Yeah.
Is there pushback against that?
There can be.
Okay.
It's kind of like
Yeah.
like handing someone a smartphone at the
Mhm.
first time
Yeah.
and they've never like seen one before.
Right.
There's a learning curve there.
Yeah.
Big time.
And that's what it makes me think about, like
What's that?
that digital literacy gap
Oh, absolutely.
that we hear about.
Yeah, that's a huge hurdle. I mean, imagine, you're a farmer.
Right.
You've been doing things a certain way.
Right.
And now you've got this soil sensor.
Yeah.
And it's giving you all this data. And you're like, what am I supposed to do with this?
Yeah. Exactly. And it's
It's like a foreign language almost.
not just the technology. It's like
Exactly.
you got to know how to use it.
Yeah, got to make it accessible.
So what's being done? Like, are there programs to help bridge that gap?
Well, that's where things get like really interesting because we're seeing, a lot of creative solutions
Yeah.
that are really tailored for like
Right.
rural communities.
Okay.
So think about this.
Okay.
Mobile apps.
Yeah.
designed specifically for these farmers.
Oh.
Easy to understand. You know?
Yeah.
Interfaces,
Yeah.
maybe even like local language options and things like that.
Okay.
And then you've got
Yeah.
government programs,
Okay.
private initiatives
Yeah.
popping up,
Yeah.
offering hands-on training, showing farmers like, hey, this is how you use these tools.
That's amazing.
Yeah. It's about empowerment.
Right. It's not just
Yeah.
giving them the technology, being like, good luck.
Exactly. You can't just hand it to them.
You got to give them the key.
Give them the key.
In the car.
Right. But even with all this support,
Yeah.
is there still a risk
Yeah.
that some farmers just get left behind?
That's the $1 million question, right? Like,
yeah.
as we enter this new era of like AI-driven agriculture,
Yeah.
we have to ask ourselves, who is this really benefiting?
Right.
Right. Are we creating a system that's more equitable where everyone has a chance,
Mhm.
or are we just, widening the gap
Right.
between like the bigger farms and
Yeah.
the smaller producers?
It really makes you think
It does.
this tech has the potential to
Oh, yes.
like totally transform
Agriculture.
everywhere, not just in India, but globally.
Yeah.
But it's really up to us
Yeah.
to make sure it's
Absolutely.
leading to a more sustainable
Right.
and just food system for everyone.
Yeah. For everyone.
It's a lot to think about.
It is. And that's the thing I love about like diving deep into these topics.
Yeah.
It's not about simple answers, right?
Yeah.
It's about starting those conversations
Right.
that really matter.
Yeah. Well said. Couldn't agree more. And for anyone listening who's now like completely fascinated by the future of food.
Imagine a world where the freshest produce at your local farmer's market
Yeah.
was grown with the help of like
I know.
AI,
Isn't that amazing?
carefully nurtured and with like minimal environmental impact.
It's incredible.
That's the promise of precision agriculture.
It is.
And it's a journey worth watching, one data point at a time.
Absolutely.